Of our top stories, a woman is dead after she was hit by a car while she was walking with her child. This happened near Chapman Avenue and Twin Brook Parkway in Rockville. Montgomery County and Rockville police say that they found the mother there after the accident. Crews rushed her and her son to the hospital, where she later died. Meanwhile, police say that the child is expected to be okay. The driver of the car stayed on the scene and is cooperating with investigators. Investigators right now are continuing to look into what led up to the crash.
And meantime, investigators in the district, they're looking for the driver who hit and killed a woman in Northeast. That was on Sunday and took off. It happened at North Capitol Street and New York Avenue, and she was rushed to the hospital where the woman later died. Police are still working to identify the woman's identity.
And Shanika, that crash is really part of a troubling trend in the district and the surrounding region. A new report showing that there are twice as many deadly crashes in the city from last year. Police data updated Monday shows that 28 deaths this year compared to just 13 this time last year. That's a 115% increase. And to put it in perspective, in all of 2025, there were 25 traffic deaths, the lowest since 2012. New at noon, the Department of Justice is asking a federal appeals court to reinstate criminal charges against Kilmore Abrego Garcia. This comes as a lower court order found Abrego Garcia was the subject of a likely vindictive prosecution. In the court filing, the DOJ denied that the prosecution was vindictive. Abrego Garcia faced 2 counts of human smuggling charges connected to a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee. This is after he challenged the Trump administration's decision to deport him back to his native country of El Salvador. Abrego Garcia re-entered the U.S. after SCOTUS told the White House to bring him back.
And the FBI headquarters may not be coming to the district after all. A federal judge ruled to keep congressionally approved plans to build the new facility in Maryland. The judge found that Maryland and Prince George's County would suffer irreparable economic harm if the Greenbelt site were abandoned. Now, the judge also found that the FBI and the General Services Administration did not have the authority to replace Greenbelt with the Reagan building. GSA selected Greenbelt as a location site in 2023. The Trump administration later tried to move the FBI from the Hoover building to the Reagan building on Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, Prince George's County Executive Aisha Braveboy tells us what she expects to happen next.
The ball is in the federal government's court, so they really should just comply with the rules. If they don't, then we're going to work with our members of Congress, our senators.
If the federal government, though, continues to resist Greenbelt plans, despite the ruling, is Prince George's County prepared to go back to court?
Yes, we stand prepared to fight.
And in a statement, GSA tells us, quote, an activist judge is wasting taxpayer dollars on yet another political decision designed to undermine President Trump and his America First agenda. Now, GSA will not pursue an inferior approach to cost, speed, and value. Guided by President Trump's vision, we remain focused on delivering a new FBI headquarters faster and at a far lower cost to the American taxpayer. Now, this is a lot to unpack, a lot happening here, Mark, but, you know, a lot of people were waiting for this to happen. They wanted to see what decision would be made based on the courts.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tug of war, if you will. And it goes back to, the previous administration, and now obviously it's spilled over to the Trump administration, and it's a lot at stake here for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people were questioning what do they do with that land in Greenbelt, because really, Greenbelt, the city is known to have the Maryland courts there, and they were looking at, okay, what is the possibility if the FBI headquarters weren't based there? We'll see what happens moving forward.
All right. Well, the Trump administration, or President Trump, claiming that crime is down in the district, Shanika, by more than 80%. and continued to praise his efforts to make the Capitol safe and beautiful.
Yeah, the crime stats tell a different story. Max Marcilla has the latest on the numbers.
Well, that's the president's claim that crime is down more than 80%. That's not the reality. So far through the first 8.5 months of the year, violent crime is up just a tick, about 4%, though there's a big asterisk there. We'll get to that in a moment. The bigger decrease is coming in property crime, and that because of that, total crime is down about 20%. So that asterisk we told you about when it comes to violent crime is this. The Washington Post reports that an internal affairs report showed how some violent assaults were categorized as something else. A scandal of crime classification has plagued the department. That category, assault with a dangerous weapon, is up about 40%, but what impact any potential misclassifications in the past had is still unclear. But the president said, regardless, his efforts are still working.
But if you were here a year and a half ago, the numbers were horrible. The crime stats, the murders, the death, the drug dealing, everything was. We have one of the safest. We've taken it from one of the most unsafe cities in the country to as safe a city as there is. Amazing what's happened to Washington, and it's our capital.
All right, so let's fact check that, specifically his claim around murders. So yes, murders are down significantly in the district, about 50% from when President Trump took office compared to the previous year and a half. But there is some context that's needed. Here's the context. Crime is going down in many places across the country. In fact, there was a mid-year report from the Council on Criminal Justice, and it says nationwide the 2026 homicide rate is on pace to be the lowest since 1900. The president also talked briefly about D.C.'s likely next mayor, Janice Lewis-George. He called her a radically left person and confirmed that they have not met, at least not yet. That's noteworthy because at the end of June, after Lewis-George won the primary, Trump said he would meet with Lewis-George, who responded by saying she is willing to work with anyone, including the administration, to improve the lives of D.C. residents, but went on to say that she would stand up to anyone who, in her words, puts our city or its residents in harm's way.
Our thanks to Max Marcilla. The president continues to stay in the news, and he's considering federalizing the district. He made the remarks when he was asked about the possibility of D.C. statehood if Democrats win control. The president calling the district's Democratic mayoral nominee, Janice Lewis-George, too radical. Lewis-George is the presumptive mayor, as there's no Republican opponent for November's general election, and Congress would need to take away D.C.'s home rule to federalize the district.
All right, and Panda Fest continuing to make its impact in the DMV. Organizers donated $25,000 to the National Zoo in celebration of holding their first festival in D.C. The donation will support the zoo's efforts to care for giant pandas and advanced wildlife efforts. The Asian Food and Culture Festival took place on Pennsylvania Avenue. That was this past weekend, so that had to be cool to see all of the cultured food and everything else that the culture has to offer. So that's one thing about the DC area. There's always something to do. There's always a festival, and there's just so much culture, so many people from all over the world here. Yeah. So.
Hey, in other news, the Metro U pop-up shop now open. You'll be able to shop for Ramada-themed hoodies, backpacks, notebooks, and totes. It's over at Metro headquarters, and it's open at various times throughout the week. The last day to shop, September 4th. Stay with us.